There's this weird thing in amateur radio, and I think we all fall into it sometimes, where we have to justify why do radio over using a cell phone or the internet or, some kind of wireless device of some kind. And I always remind people that we use all of it, right? We're not selling ham radio against wireless systems and services like phones where you pay a company for it and all that stuff. We don't have to justify amateur radio's existence as a competition against cell phone service providers. And anyone who is trying to pitch that to you is pushing what's called a false dilemma, that there can be only one. It is not Highlander. Guess what? Amateur radio operators actually leverage new technologies like cell phones, case in point, like tablets that we'll be talking about today, to do various things within ham radio. So there's never really a reason to think that they can't work together or are already not working together, as we often do. Today we're actually looking at a radio that is a confluence of this wirelessly connected devices like phones and tablets to make it function. This is the VGC, want to make sure I get this right, VR-N7500. You can already see there's no screen on this. It's a small little radio where you basically push all the functionality of control from this via Bluetooth into your personal tablet that runs Android or your smartphone. iOS is also compatible with this, or as an accessory, they have a little Bluetooth handy talkie. And yeah, you saw this on my neck thinking, hey, this is some kind of weird HT that I'm testing. No, this is a Bluetooth and GPS enabled speaker mic. That's what it's for. It's for connecting to this radio, and you can actually do full menu controls on the radio through this. And I gotta say, as far as a confluence and being a kitschy radio thing, I really like it. So let's take a look. Buy Two-Way Radio and I have worked together on a couple of videos now, and when I was talking with them, I said, send me your kitschy, kind of weird radios. And if you watched my handheld CB radio review that I did a couple of weeks back, that also came from Buy Two-Way Radio, and they said, we got just the thing for you, this N7500. And they were not kidding. This is a super kitschy radio. It's a discrete, basically hide it anywhere in your car or whatnot, 50-watt VHF UHF radio. There's a power plug in the back, a fan, an antenna port, and an external speakers port. Everything else, aside from a power button and the ability to connect a hand mic if you absolutely have to, but you don't need to, is done via devices that connect to the radio via Bluetooth. It goes for $180 on Buy Two-Way Radio. The link is in the description for it. The handheld mic combo thing that you use with the radio kind of functions just like a handheld would. It has a speaker and mic actual port on the side of it, screen, PTT button, does all the things, and is actually capable of connecting to your phone and being a speaker mic for your phone, which is kind of wild. This goes for $70 on their website. Links will be in the description to go check it out. This is an affiliate code, so if you buy something, it does help out my channel, but no pressure. I just think it's cool regardless. You ever get that coax where they get a little liberal with the jacket here, and then the collar doesn't want to turn very well? That's apparently what I'm dealing with my little piece of coax jumper. All right, we'll go straight to, looks like we're pulling about 0.15 amps right now, just on standby. I'll leave the mic disconnected for a second as we get the tablet going here. So I want to sync this up to my Android device here. Pretty simple. You double click the power button twice and it enters this little Christmas tree flashing mode. If you have the speaker on, it will beep. That's usually connected to the mic here. You go into the application, which is called HT, downloadable on the Android Play Store and also iOS. And you'll see this new device, VR-N7500. Do you want to link now? Yes, we do. So we'll link. It'll go through this whole linking process. And you will need this if you want the enhanced controls. So we're pair and connect. A couple of things to keep in mind. This video, I may have to cut some of it because it will display a map on the background because it is using the GPS on the radio, and it'll attempt to use the GPS on the app as well. So just keep that in mind. But basically, this is kind of how it functions. It's a channel system, so you've got 16 channels here. This is your power setting. You can have a dual channel for dual receive and scan. There's an FM radio, as in like broadcast radio. There's a talk around setting. Basically, it'll allow you to listen to, you know, whatever it hears in the background. To change, so let's hold this guy down. Let's go to Edit Channel, and I want to call this, you know, 2 meter simplex, which is what we end up using the most out here. At least I do. Simplex, and the frequency is going to be 146520. Okay, transmit power is high. We don't want to disable transmit. We don't want to mute it. Bandwidth, we have 2 options. We're going to keep it on wide. Allow scan, sure. Pre and de-emphasis, okay. Should be. Receive and transmit are the same. This is where you would handle your offset. There is no CTCSS. This is what you would do if you were connecting to a repeater. We'll hit save. Okay, so now we have that set up. So we can plug in the microphone. Now, just for the heck of it, to see that it's working correctly, if I key down, does it change anything? Interesting. I don't know why it's on dual on UHF right here. Let's go back into this. So it went there. Now we want, okay, 146.520 is where we want. High power, single channel. Let's do Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Anyone copy on 2 meter simplex? No, there's something. Somebody was in there. So I'm looking at the settings for the radio. If I go to the gear, this is where you see things like obviously volume and squelch. Okay, no big deal. We can just, there's the monitor function. For the device speaker, we can change this to the handheld, which we'll get to in a second, or a wired speaker microphone. Let's take that to on. Yeah, I think we only have a speaker on the hand mic. Go leave it auto. All right, general settings. This is where you start getting like different things like share location, location report, select the channel used to send location. This is not something you need necessarily as a ham, although if you had somebody with that capability, you could do that. We do want tail elimination on. Okay, single preamble. Oops, didn't want that. I don't want relay. Signal preamble. There is mic gain settings, which is kind of nice. We can set that to low or medium. I'll leave it stock. Wireless mic gain set to low. Voice mode, if you had headphones connected. Tone, we're not going to do tone. We're going to do auto power patrol system ID. We're definitely not doing that. All right, so this is where you can do connection management. So you can actually have, on the radio device, you can have multiple devices connect to it, but I had difficulty with it. I think it was just because I wasn't doing the scan correctly and entering the bind mode by pushing the power button twice. So keep that in mind. This is a maximum of 30 channels, which you can see here. Here's the channel setup. If I wanted to, I could create a new list at 30 at a time. So let's do a channel group, for lack of a better term, MCOM. And we want, get back over here, discard, MCOM. So we'll call this, we'll do the same thing we did earlier, 2 meter simp. You guys love that. Okay, we want high power. We want the same setup there. So we'll go back, save that bad boy. Okay, good. Let's call this 70 sims simp. Oh, there, we reached the top out. That's as many characters you can put in. 446000. Did that just say AM? What? All right. Same, no offset, good. We're going to test that in a second. 146, oops. 520, but we're going to make this AM. This is crazy to me. So we're going to go 14652, and I'm going to test this in a dummy load in a second. We're going to go high, make that AM, make that AM. This is really weird. Off, off, off. Okay, good. Save. All right, so what happens when we back out here? Yeah, we're going to save it. Sync to device, channel group 2. All right, so we're on the main channel set. Let's see if we can switch over to that MCOM channel set. We're going to go MCOM. Save. Oh, it doesn't like AM. So we'll delete that one. Save it. Yeah, okay, cool. So I set this to change the channel type, and how I did it again was go into channels and groups. We've got 2. We've got channel group 1. This is preloaded from the factory, right? If I click on that guy and I say save, it's going to ask me sync to device. Yes. If I set it to 1, then it's going to make it reload the channel set that we have here. So if I want to set it back to the simplex one, we'll go to channels and groups, go to MCOM save it to 1, and back it out. Should be there now. Yeah, there we go. 2 meter simplex, 70 centimeter simplex. So there you go on that one. Pretty straightforward. I'm unhappy with the channels here. There's only 16 at a time. So how do I get, to the channel 2? Okay. Channel 1. All right, but like, how do I get down to channel 30? If I have a list of 30 here, go channels and groups, MCOM, you can see this list goes down to 30.
Exactly like you.
It's got an AM, FM, it's got a FM radio, which is all I care about is classical music usually. I leave that, star that bad boy. All right, so you can listen to that while doing radio stuff. Interesting. So we're now scanning. Interesting. What if we make this 146? Ooh, wow. Oh, cool. It scanned and found a channel that it populated. Scanning's a little slow. Let's let that run and see if we get a bunch of different channels on 70 centimeters. And, well, in this case, 2 meters. We can test 70 centimeters after.
You want to make a comment?
Why? Oh, no. It didn't keep scanning. It just stopped when it found that wonderful channel. Why? I try to make good videos. That's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I would like the scan to just pause and then just keep going. All right, and on the main screen, if you hit dual channel, you can monitor 2 channels at once, and you can switch between them, which is nice if you wanted to monitor your favorite repeater and then hop up to simplex and leave that running. Let's pull up that user manual and let's see what we got there. Nice. I don't even know. This is a 7600, right? 7500. I don't even see 7500 on the list here. Okay, so that may not work out. Now, this should be noted. This does APRS pretty good. Let me go back into this bad boy so I can show you how I did it. So I sent a memory channel for APRS. Go into edit channel, and let's go ahead and mute that for right now. Let's see if it keeps loading while we do that. But I have it selected. Ideally, I'd want that on the dual channel. Let's see if it works on the dual channel. It is receiving. So let's go back to this guy, hit up APRS, and see if it's going to keep copying as people will transmit in. Yeah, okay, cool. So I've got it muted. APRS channel's on the B channel, and we are seeing APRS spots coming, which is fantastic. So if I click message, APRS call. All right, so let's give it the beans here. We're gonna and see it's smart enough to know different. All right, so we're at KI6N87. We're gonna pretend like we are portable right now. We are not gonna be a server. We can go, wow, so hypothetically you can go radio to internet. And yeah, this is using what looks like a fully capable APRS setting or setup. I'm actually receiving these stations. Looks like I'm picking up from pretty far away. That's kind of cool. So this is the kind of raw messages that are coming in. It would be nice if I could type in a message, though. This is not exactly what I'd want, but I can actually go in here and do a test. Let's find somebody who may be actually in front of a radio. The best situation here is if I could create a message, right? I could actually just click message and I can send a SMGT or SMSGTE. Okay, oddly enough, I got this figured out. I did get it to work. This is a bit of a... kludgy's the wrong word. It seems like this wasn't necessarily designed to do this, but let me show you what to do. All right, so you can send messages, but to be able to do it, you have to open up a message. So any of these are technically messages, right? Some of them are actually beacon positions for different amateur radio stations. Some of them are actually, messages being sent. But if I bring up the message, right, and I have a destination I'm trying to hit, the trick is where that colon sits, and I don't need to reply to this AW6A op. Nice, he's an op user, must be a Counter-Strike guy. But if I want to do SMSGTE, I need to capitalize SMSGTE. This is for sending text messages. Go into your characters and put that colon in. Once you do that, then you can space at, do the phone number, right? So number, that's numbers close enough. And then the actual message you're sending. So test dot blah, 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 blah. Okay, now once you send this, then it's going to be routed to SMSGTE appropriately. But of course you have to have the number in there. It's a bit of a workaround, but that seems to be working. And what I think is going on here is that the way this is supposed to work, at least for the company in China that does this, and however they use this APRS technology, they want you to set up this login credentials thing. It doesn't really work in the United States. If you try to get a passcode, clicking get passcode here, it actually pulls up this APRS Chinese website, which frankly I'm not going to set up, and neither of us should do that. But I'm guessing that that's what you need to do if you wanted to do some kind of connection for the greater functionality settings that this does. If you just want simple APRS, which is what this is doing, in fact, here's the map of all the stations I picked up, and you can see it actually starts to group them. That's kind of cool. Got an airplane. That's pretty cool. I've even got down to TJ here. Anyway, you get the idea. You can start actually seeing the route people are taking. You can do typical APRS stuff in an actually pretty nice layout here. Now, I will note that I was transmit and receive set to APRS. I found that if I change the primary channel, so if I go back in and I change the primary channel to simplex, I need to make sure that I click the little play button down here to the APRS channel, otherwise it won't transmit. In fact, it was transmitting on simplex, 2-meter simplex per second. You don't want that, so that you need to correct. Now, there's more to this. It's a little bit interesting. There's a Morse code transmitter, which is kind of wild. So it's picking up it's picking up APRS noises and trying to convert them into Morse code. I wonder how we can test this. Let me get my 705, I think. Yeah, let's do that. Not having a better solution, I've got... Oh, it's just picking up random microphone? Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but... Alright, so I've got the N6 ARA paddle. This is like my portable paddle here. And you just plug it in. Okay. Alright, flip it over. So I'm in a dummy load, so nobody worry, but I'm on 146.520 on a dummy load. It's picking, it's reading all of this. I don't know why, but yeah, you can. It's not copying any of that, so maybe I'm doing it wrong, whatever, but it doesn't seem to be working. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu, test, test, test. And that worked pretty well. Just looking at this overall arching, whatever your capabilities are you're looking for, if you are not somebody who wants this big monolithic 100 channel beast, this works actually pretty well. You can have a series of different channels, up to 16 or so, at least that I see on screen. And you would just change groupings using the settings here for channel and groups. Pretty straightforward to create a group for every new set that you wanted. Let's connect our little Bluetooth device here. So under the settings for this, we're main settings, menu, turn on pairing. You get a little flashing. Double click this guy. And they've connected. So now we are connected to the VGR-N7500. You can see radio settings. We can set dual watch here. Scan. It'll start working through scanning. Some of these are, oh, interesting. There's the channel group MCOM, which we have set. Nice. So you can actually, it is actually showing you the message capability. So let's go down 2 meter simplex. It is keying the radio. Let's try it out. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu, just doing a test out here on simplex, new radio test. Volume controls on top. Well, that's funny. Turn it into, don't want APRS. Leave it on 2 meter simplex. You see though, it was switching. That brought up the FM radio. Button over here will jump through the channels. It looks like this is the up and down button. These are not set. Hey, an actual compass. That's kind of funny. Now I did try this. I tried walking away. Ooh, and it's got a little clippy thing so you can hook it to your belt. I did try to walk to the other room. I wanted to be able to set this up in the garage on the good antenna, my dual band antenna, and then walk in the garage with this, which is, there's a wall between, a couple of walls. Did not give good signal quality. So you do actually have to be kind of close or have somewhat of a line of sight between the two for Bluetooth to work effectively. Let's try that again here. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Anybody monitoring 2 meter simplex? Any copy on this new radio I'm testing? Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
It's working. KN6VJV.
Oh, thank you very much. That's all I needed. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And it's a 5.57 amp draw. I was paying attention to it over there. So yeah, good stuff. And it, yeah, for an accessory, it's got a little belt clip. Ooh, Jesus, that's aggressive. Oh, it can only go out a certain way, I guess. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, belt clip. There you go. And a wall mount clip. And guess what, guys? It's USB-C for recharging. It's got a battery. It looks like a bolt-in battery that you can replace, but USB-C, that's a big plus. Why don't we test the power output? All right, so we're on a dummy load. Thank you, MFJ, for sending me this sweet meter. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Wow. Holy smokes, guys. It's a 50 watt? Just about. I mean, 46 watts. Of course, I expected this to be more like 20. Wow, it's tiny too. All right, so let me attempt to give you my thoughts on this, because it's actually kind of a difficult radio to put in a box. In fact, it lives desiring not to be put into a box. There's no screen. There's nothing for you to look at. The microphone being attached to it, having the speaker in the microphone, makes it almost a detriment. You almost want to connect an external speaker or forgo that completely and use the cool little handheld mic thing, which by the way, I really liked and tested it. About 50 watts output without much problem when going through this or going through my tablet. Android users, anyone who's like real deep into Android and you've got a tablet on you or a phone, you're going to love this. It's probably the best implementation of software on Android. iOS obviously has the similar functionality of applications, but it's not completely the same. So for you iOS users, it's still totally serviceable and functioning, but I think there's a bit more capability there on the Android side. Also, if you go back to my video that I made, my $100 Lenovo tablet that I bought from Walmart, I did a whole series of a live stream on where I talked about the capabilities you can do with this tablet. By just syncing it to this radio, most of the things that I talked about on that video without needing extra hardware, I was able to do with this tablet. So you should be able to leverage a lot of what they're both able to do and get 50 watts output, particularly for APRS, which I thought was really interesting. The downside of this radio is going to be the Chinese jankiness. And what I mean specifically is not the build quality of this. The build quality of this is actually really high. It is a nice, attractive case. It's all metal, as it should be for something this small, putting out 50 watts. It does have a pretty small fan. That might get a little noisy on you, depending on where you bury this thing, like up in a car's dashboard area. It might get a little hot in there. But it's really easy to mount kind of like up and away underneath like the footwell area of the car. That's not the build quality, not at all. It's the software. You got a lot of capability boxed in here, and sometimes Chinese software can't get out of its own way. Two problems come to mind with this. One is that the polish and fit and finish of the controls for the software is not that great. It's vastly superior and has gotten better consistently over the last couple of years as we've seen software applications, particularly for phone and tablet, getting dragged into amateur radio, particularly when connected to Chinese radios. The other thing is that I think this is actually probably used at like a business level potentially in the Chinese market, or just the way that the Chinese run APRS is way different than we do out here. Or again, they have their own thing, kind of like APRS.FI like we have, and trying to connect to their service on the app is probably not an advisable idea, but I could be wrong. Correct me in the chat. The APRS that's in here is fully cooked. Its capability, you can do pretty much whatever you want because the heavy lifting is getting done by the application right here, this guy. But the application is more in line with Chinese APRS, particularly if you want to unlock that iGate capability. And what is an iGate? An iGate is where you receive an APRS signal and you connect to the internet and upload it to something like APRS.FI, which is where it shows, that's a website, by the way, where it shows all the APRS signals that are around you, who it hears, and posts to the internet. By the way, this is a really handy website to give to loved ones if you're going out in the field and you're going to be doing APRS. You can tell them to follow your call sign. They'll be able to see where you are at any moment. It works really well. I wish this application was a little bit more polished on APRS for America. I don't necessarily need the iGate capability, although having a digipeater capability with this would be spot on. So if they could figure out how to do that with the software, that would be great. Just get rid of all that login stuff and let me be able to type my own message. Click something, bring up a message window, and create whatever I want. Maybe also save those contacts for like SMS, GTE, WinLink, a number of other of these destination points that you would want to send messages to with APRS. At $179 for a 50-watt VHF UHF radio, it's priced very competitively. But the fact that you need to have a tablet or you need to have the Bluetooth little microphone thing, which adds $60 to $70, makes the price go up considerably. The use case here seems to be plug this up in your car, hide it, or in your home shack, hide it away somewhere out of visibility, plug an external speaker into it so you can hear the radio, and then use your phone, Android phone or iOS phone, to actually connect to the radio for controlling it for channels and whatnot, scanning through channels. And if you're going to PTT, you can use your phone app, but if you've got it in your car, that might be a little cumbersome. So that's where this handheld thing comes into play again. And you could use this as the speaker and forgo the external speaker. You would have options at that point. I really did like this handheld Bluetooth wireless mic thingy, and it worked really well so long as I was within an appropriate range of Bluetooth. The Bluetooth transmitter, either on the radio or the little wireless boy here, not the strongest. I wasn't able to go into my office from the shack area, and there's about 2 walls that separate me from the radio in the shack to my office, and I felt that was a little on the low side. I do consistently better with things like AirPods and whatnot on Bluetooth, so that was a bit underwhelming. Now, this is the Ham Radio Crash Course, and we do cater to people starting out in radio. If you're new to radio, but like a really technophobe, just an absolute geek when it comes to picking up the latest and greatest, this might get in the way of your progress within amateur radio. It is a little bit cumbersome to get started with it and get acclimated to it and kind of figure out how you want to use it. But I think once you get the idea of it, maybe you're a little bit more experienced, this is actually really fun to use. This is not DMR or anything like that. It is purely an analog VHF, UHF radio. I am going to do some future testing with it. I'm curious if we might be able to get like full duplex capability out of it, because you're technically just using a Bluetooth speaker and microphone combo in most cases. So that may be possible, particularly because you got that iGate. If it's got that, then I really wonder if you might be able to get digipeater capability out of it. That brings me to my last point. Because it is a Chinese radio, the only concern going forward is how often are they going to update the software for this? Is this something where we're going to have to upgrade the firmware on this, or is most of this capability pushed to the Android tablets or iOS phone apps? If it is, then really this is just, in some cases, just merely a app upgrade to be able to unlock some of these features, if at all possible. It's truly sometimes impossible to make some of these changes. But I don't know if this app is going to be updated often. And I don't really know the track record for the app and how consistently they've been upgrading it. So just keep that in mind. I think I'm giving you plenty of warnings to just kind of say, hey, be careful, think about this before you're diving in. But at the cost, it's really not that too expensive to get involved and play around and have a good time. All right, so tell me what you think of the N6700 by VGC. Again, thanks by Two Way Radios for sending this to me to take a look at. Link will be in the description. If you own one of these, I actually had a lot of you reach out, both people who don't own this and who are going to pick this up or who already own it. And you guys all seem to be really positive on the radio. And so far, I have to say, I'm pretty impressed overall, aside from the things I mentioned, which are not really negatives. I think they're just complexities you have to know going in. So pretty cool, all in all. I'd be really interested to see where this goes in the future and what kind of capabilities we can get out of it, or potentially future versions of this. But I have a feeling a lot of this is going to come down to the app. So hope they keep that updated. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the Ham Radio Crash Course here on YouTube. And click that bell so you know when I post a new video or when I live stream, which is generally every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Ham Nation. I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. I'm losing my mind.